Oh, sorry about that. I haven't done this one before. Okay, let's take a seat. Thank you. Okay, are there any notices?
Yes.
Member for Arrowland.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I give notice on the next business day that the Northern Territory Government acknowledges that when considering building the next new hospital in the Northern Territory, at the very top of the list is a new Alice Springs Hospital, and that no other Northern Territory town or region needs and deserves a modern new hospital more than Alice Springs and Central Australia.
Thank you. Member for Gwadja.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I give notice on the next meeting day that the Northern Territory Legislative Assembly calls on the CLP government to 1. Acknowledge that the Aboriginal Justice Agreement is a cornerstone framework for improving justice outcomes for Aboriginal Territorians through partnership, shared responsibility and community-led solutions. 2. Acknowledges that long-term justice reform requires genuine partnership with Aboriginal people, stable and predictable funding, and a commitment to prevention, diversion and community-based responses. And 3, calls on the government to publicly recommit to the Aboriginal Justice Agreement beyond 2027 and guarantee full funding for an agreement of 4 years. And Madam Speaker, while I'm on my feet, I also give notice on the next general business day to bring a motion to call on the Assembly to note the Northern Territory's commitment to implementing recommendations from the Royal Commission into institutional responses to child sexual abuse, recognise the need to legislate and operationalise child safety standards with an effective oversight mechanism to operationalise enforcement, and 3, affirm the need to undertake further work to build awareness capacity within the community and organisations to comply with the standards to ensure organisations engage children to create a safe culture, adopt strategies and take action to improve child wellbeing and prevent harm.
Are there any other notices? Member for Johnston.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I give notice that on the next general business day I shall move that this Assembly recognises housing as a fundamental human right and calls on the government to fully enact the Better Deal for Renters policy while urgently increasing investment in social and affordable housing and adopting a housing-first approach to ensure secure housing for all Territorians. And while I'm on my feet, thank you, Madam Speaker, I give notice that on the next general business day I shall move that this Assembly recognises the warnings from recent research, including the federal government's National Climate Risk Assessment, that parts of the Northern Territory could become unlivable within decades, calls on the government to commit to emissions reduction targets consistent with keeping global warming to 1.5 degrees, noting that opening huge new fossil fuel reserves such as the Beetaloo Basin is incompatible with a safe, livable future for the Northern Territory.
Are there any other notices? Are there any petitions? Are there any questions? Opposition Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Chief Minister. Chief Minister, on radio this morning you said you had nothing to do with the vetting process for the incoming administrator. Will you stand here and answer once and for all on behalf of Territorians in this chamber and put on the official record, hand on heart, that you, Chief Minister, your team and your department had absolutely nothing to do with the vetting process of your captain's pick of the NT administrator?
Can I ask you to withdraw the captain's pick? I think that's...
Absolutely, Madam Speaker. Chief Minister, will you stand here in this chamber, hand on heart and put on the record once and for all that you, your team and your department had nothing to do with the vetting process of the NT administrator?
Chief Minister.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I'm really excited by the fact that the opposition leader spends her time listening to me on radio, because if she does that, she might learn a thing or two about what it is to be a government that reduces crime, rebuilds the economy and restores our beautiful lifestyle. And boy, have we been kicking goals on that, which is why they are dragging out this debate, because they have nothing better to talk about. Because the hallmark of opposition leader Selina Yubo will be character assassination. That is what you spend all of your time doing, Opposition Leader, and it reflects much more poorly on you than it does on me.
Please, Chief Minister, what's your point of order?
Standing Order 31, the imputations the Chief Minister is making. I'm asking about a vetting process, and did you have a hand in it, or are you just pretending that you didn't?
Take your seat. I think you're pretty evenly matched here. Come on, let's go.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And the hypocrisy is writ large by the opposition leader who doesn't like the imputation but is happy to impugn negativity about anybody else she likes, both in this chamber and in the media, Madam Speaker. Now, if she was listening to my radio this morning, she actually would have learnt something. I note that in the gallery is the very media person that I was on radio to, and so she would be able to back me up to say that that is not what I said. So your question is completely based on an incorrect premise in the first case, Madam Speaker. So,
silence, please.
If you listen to me on radio from now on, take better notes and perhaps learn a thing or two about what a government focused on the future, delivering for Territorians is about. Because in less than 1 year, we reduced crime by nearly 10%, took our economy off the bottom of the barrel for a decade and lifted it halfway there. That's the work of a government.
Minister, please take your seat. Opposition Leader, I think this might be your last point of order, but please proceed.
Standing Order 110. My question, Madam Speaker, as you know, was specifically around the vetting process.
She's just halfway. Please proceed, Minister. You will not be
Madam
interrupted
Speaker, I
again.
have answered this question in every forum that you can imagine, Madam Speaker. I've been very, very clear there was an initial assessment. I've been very, very clear about the nomination to the federal government. I've been very clear that the federal government then do the extensive vetting. I've been very clear then that it's the Minister for Territories who signs it off, and then it's the Governor-General who is actually the person who officially signs it off, and then it's the Governor-General who appoints the official I can't think of the name now. It's the Common Seal, or there's an official...
Okay, let's keep it down. You've asked the question.
You are
can
such
listen to the answer.
a disrespectful
Okay.
human being.
Chief,
I've answered the...
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
look, sit
Standing
down.
Order
Sit,
31.
please sit down, Member for Darling. Just withdraw that and continue your answer, please. Chief
Madam
Minister.
Speaker, I withdraw, but at the end of the day, it's not okay to impugn on other people and then have a glass jaw. Can I just say that, Madam Speaker? So, just for the record, just for the Hansard, the opposition leader was heckling and diminishing me for not remembering the name of a very technical form that the Governor-General signs in appointing the administrator. This is the level we've gotten to, Madam Speaker. And so I've clearly outlined the process many
Opposition
times. His Honour, the Honourable David Connolly, is the 24th Administrator of the
Chief
Northern
Minister,
Territory.
could you just pause? Take your seat, please, Opposition Leader. Please continue, Chief Minister, in silence.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. He will be sworn in Darwin by the Governor-General on the 27th of February. And we are looking forward to working with someone who has as much fire in their belly about the future of the Territory as we do, Madam
Time's
Speaker.
expired, Chief Minister. Member for Drysdale, what is your
Madam
question?
Speaker. My question will be relevant to the people of the Territory, and I will ask the Chief Minister something the people of Drysdale actually want to hear about. Chief Minister, on Monday, I and the people of Drysdale were pleased to hear that reducing crime remains the #1 priority for this government, which is the #1 reason I was put in this chamber. The Finocchiaro CLP government has delivered a range of reforms aimed at tackling root causes of crime, including strengthening public drinking laws. One reform delivered last year was extending banned drinking orders from 7 days to 28 days. Can you update the House on how this reform is supporting frontline services, improving community safety and delivering growth, certainty and security for Territorians? And opposition, that is how you ask a question on behalf of the people of the Territory.
Chief Minister.
Thank you very much, Member for Drysdale, because you know why you were elected to Parliament, you know what you stand for, you know who you're fighting for, and that is the people of the Northern Territory who elected you to be their voice here, Madam Speaker. And it is a timely moment to reflect on how hard you work out in the seat of Drysdale, out in Palmerston, and to really recommit to the fact that reducing crime is our number one priority. It was our number one priority when we came to government in August 24. It was our number one priority in that very first sittings of Parliament where we passed our reducing crime package in full on urgency through that first Parliament, and we have consistently continued with our law and order reform since, Madam Speaker, which has had tremendous results with much more work to do. That 9.3% reduction in victims represents 2,223 less people who are victims of crime under a CLP government compared to a Labor government that every single one of the opposition members were a part of and had a hand in, 2 of them serving as Attorney General, Madam Speaker. And so we have acted swiftly to give police better powers, more support. We graduated 201 through the college last year. Our police public safety officers will start later this month, plus 3 constable courses this year. So we are absolutely focused and committed in 2026 to stay the course on reducing crime, because people in your community, people in my community, the people of the Northern Territory want to know that in 2026, reducing crime will remain our number one focus, and we can absolutely commit to them that it will be, Madam Speaker. And so late last year, we passed some reform which was fantastic. It came from the front line. Police in Katherine, under the leadership of Terry Zhang, had been doing an incredible job issuing banned drinker orders. These were 7-day orders where people could not drink. And when we saw that data, and when we had the banned drinker register review, the recommendation around increasing it to 28 days was absolutely a no-brainer for us, Member for Drysdale. So since the 15th of December through to the 2nd of February, hold on to your hat, Member for Drysdale, police have issued 2,532 banned drinker orders in that small window of time. And if you break it down just for Operation Ludlow in Alice Springs, Tennant Creek and Katherine, we had Alice Springs issue 407 during Ludlow, Tennant Creek 27 and Katherine 167, leaving nearly 2,000 territory-wide. So it's been, again, just another tool in the toolbox for our police to support them to do their job with the powers they need to keep people safe. I take my hat off to our police. They do an incredible job. And thank you, Member for Drysdale, for being such a strong voice for the people of Drysdale.
Member for Mulca, what is your question?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question to the Chief Minister. As leaders of the Northern Territory, we are supposed to be working to eradicate racism and discrimination in our community. You choose to appoint someone who has a history of offensive comments.
Member for Mulca, please pause. You are going down the wrong track here. What you have said is in breach of Standing Order 30. You either change the wording of your question or take your seat.
I am a leader of my people. I am a sovereign nation leader.
But you are breaching Standing Order 30.
You can kick me out. I am a sovereign nation leader.
By inferring
I stand along with
disrespectfully.
with this department. Now,
please take your seat,
this government doesn't respect my eldership, leadership of my
Member
people.
for Mulca, either take your seat or leave the chamber, please.
I can do whatever you like.
No, you can't.
There's no justice here.
It's shameful.
The next question, and the next person to interject in disrespect of me, they can leave the chamber too. Member for Blaine, what is your question?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Agriculture and Fisheries. Unlike the Labor opposition, this side of the chamber is solely focused on delivering on things that matter for Territorians. Minister, agriculture is a major economic driver for the Northern Territory and a vital source of jobs and investment in our regional communities. Recent reports show that live export volumes reached their highest level in a decade, with NT cattle exports at their strongest since 2014. Can you please update the House on how the Finocchiaro government is supporting the growth of the agriculture sector, diversifying markets, and how those record export results are strengthening our regional economies? Thank you, Minister.
Minister for Agriculture and Fisheries.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank the member for Blaine for the question, because this is an important question, because we need to make sure, Madam Speaker, that our economy continues to drive forward. We know, Madam Speaker, in the last 8 years it's gone backwards, but under the leadership of Leah Finocchiaro, we've now reached up into 4th of the overall ranking in relation to our economy, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, before I get started on my question, I'd just like to acknowledge the former member for Goyder, my brother, Peter Maley, is in the chamber up there at the moment. So, look, Madam Speaker, agriculture is a major economic driver to the Northern Territory, along with gas, tourism, defence and mining. These are the pillars to make sure our economy moves forward, Madam Speaker. And live exports through Darwin Port have reached their highest level in a decade, Madam Speaker. This is driving confidence and delivering jobs in the Northern Territory, Madam Speaker. And we will be backing those agricultural developments and also the live export as we move forward into the future, Madam Speaker, because we know how important it is to the Territory economy and we know how important it is to driving Territory jobs, Madam Speaker. Local jobs here in the Northern Territory, whether you're around Katherine, Tennant Creek, in the Land of Opportunity, or around Alice Springs, Madam Speaker, this is a really important industry and we are driving and working hard. Madam Speaker, we know that just under 450,000 head of cattle, 450,000 head of cattle passed through the port last year. That's an 18% increase over the previous year, Madam Speaker. And of that, 313,000 were Territory cattle, Madam Speaker. That's Territory jobs, Territory born and bred cattle, and those Territorians out there working in the stockyard, mustering those cattle, Madam Speaker. And I know how hard that work is because I've been there and I've done it, Madam Speaker. Also, Madam Speaker, buffalo. Water buffalo climbed to 7,200. That's a 57% increase in export out of the Northern Territory, Madam Speaker. Again, local jobs, local boost to the economy, Madam Speaker. Indonesia continues to be our #1 live export market, receiving more than 90% of the cattle shipped through the Port of Darwin, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, and that's why I've said before, the Minister for Trade is going out overseas doing a great job, Madam Speaker, developing those markets, making sure that people are willing to buy and invest in the Northern Territory, Madam Speaker. Look, the Northern Territory continues to play a very vital role in the Australian cattle industry, with 40% of the nation's live export out of Darwin, Madam Speaker, through our port, through the Port of Darwin, which again drives that local jobs, the people who doing the fuel, the truck drivers, the mechanics, even the hairdressers, Madam Speaker. They've got work to do because they look after the people driving those trucks, Madam Speaker. The port cements its position as a live export gateway because we know it's an increase of 23% over trade last financial year. This industry creates jobs, it creates growing the economy, and this government supports it 100%, Madam Speaker.
Member for Nightcliff, what is your question?
Thank you. My question is for the Chief Minister. Chief Minister, I have been inundated with emails, calls, messages from people wanting to speak about since the news broke of your recent appointee. I don't believe it's acceptable for your government to hide behind a standing order to avoid accountability to the people we represent. So that being said, I have questions from 2 constituents. They say, as an Aboriginal person and also as someone else who is a survivor of domestic violence, how are they supposed to feel respected and welcomed by a man who has said, quote, Aboriginal people have done nothing good for this country and I was supposed to go...
Please, Member for Nightcliff, you know this standing order. You understand what I sent out to you all, a message on Monday morning advising you that it is disrespectful, if you are not to be disrespectful to the head of state, the new administrator. Whether you like it or not, would you like to cease your interjections or leave the chamber? No, I'm telling you, you can't ask that question. We have rules. We are a part of the Westminster parliamentary system. We all have to comply to this rule whether we like it or not. Please sit down. We have to respect the head of state. We have to not be disrespectful to the Northern Territory Administrator. We will move on. Member for Thong Lim, what is your question?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Minister for People, Sport and Culture. Minister, Territorians are proud of our sporting events and our sporting culture and the role that major events play in inspiring young people and in strengthening community pride and in showcasing, indeed, the Territory positively to the rest of the world. Can you update the House on how the Finocchiaro CLP government is securing high-profile international sporting events for the Territory and what this means for local communities, what this means for grassroots sport and the Territory's reputation as a destination for world-class sport and culture?
Minister for People, Sport and Culture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank Member for Fong Lim for this question, so I know that you enjoy watching cricket. I'm very proud to update the House that international Test cricket will return to the Northern Territory for the first time after 23 years. I know the Minister for Major Events has worked very hard to get the deal over the line, so I pay tribute to her efforts as well. In August 2026, Australia will take on Bangladesh in a full international Test match at Marara Stadium, supported by a broader agreement that includes 2 T20 international matches in 2027. This is a major achievement and a clear vote of confidence in territory sporting infrastructure, our event hosting capability, and our future. Madam Speaker, Test cricket is the pinnacle of the game. It represents endurance, skill and character, and its return to Darwin will inspire young Territorians to dream big and pursue excellence in sport. For our local cricket community, this is an incredibly exciting opportunity to the very best players compete right here at home. We know the impact of the elevation of local Jake Weatherall to the Australian Test team for the Ashes, and there is no doubt that we will see direct links to his selection and a new wave of budding cricketers in a few years' time. This event is also deeply meaningful for our multicultural community. With Bangladesh coming to Darwin, many Territorians will see their heritage and love of cricket reflected on the world stage, reinforcing sport's unique power to bring people together. Last year's T20 internationals generated more than $4 million in economic activity, delivered packed stadiums, and demonstrated that Territory can host major international events with confidence. The return of Test cricket is not just about one match, it is about legacy, boosting participation, strengthening clubs, inspiring the next generation, and positioning the Territory as a destination for world-class sports and culture. While those opposite presided over a collapse in confidence, this is what strong leadership delivers: confidence, opportunity, and pride for Territorians. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Goyder, what is your question?
Madam Speaker, my question is to the Minister for Parks and Wildlife. Minister, the New York Times ranked the Northern Territory as one of the world's top travel destinations. This international recognition reflects the things that Territorians value most: our outdoor lifestyle, exploring nature, and the freedom to enjoy seasonal activities such as recreational hunting. Can the Minister outline what this recognition on the international stage means, how the government is providing certainty and backing traditional Territory activities that matter to locals?
Minister for Parks and Wildlife.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the member for Goyder, because you know what? We all know here in the Territory how great our lifestyle is, but when somebody else from very far away tells you how great it is by putting the top end at #1 in Australia for the places to visit in 2026, that's a very good accolade. Fantastic. And in fact, I think we're number 14 out of 52 in the whole wide world of places to come in 2026. And you mentioned hunting, Member for Goyder, and I know that you love your hunting. You are out there and about all the time, and you, like many, many Territorians, love their hunting. That's right, Member for Nelson. So this hunting season really showed that Territorians love hunting. We had over 1,000 waterfowl permits issued, which was only 786 the year before, Madam Speaker. So hunting's actually getting more popular in the Northern Territory thanks to our government. And the reason why is because we delivered 18 additional hunting days for the hunting season, which was fantastic news for hunters. And it wasn't just an opening of a season midweek like Labor used to do, try and sort of tuck it in the back corner hoping no one would notice. We made it on a Saturday, and we made a really big deal about it because we know Territorians love hunting. And you know who else loves hunting? Our tourists. So, of course, we welcome them as well. Bart Irwin, a hunting enthusiast, he actually sings the praises of our government because he knows that we back hunters and that it brings dollars to the Northern Territory to grow our economy. And what better way to do that in our year of growth, certainty and security, Madam Speaker. And we can't forget that we locked in bag limits for the next 5 seasons, I believe, to 2029, which is amazing. And I want to share a quick story with you, Madam Speaker, because the keen hunter and the Deputy Chief Minister actually took his daughter out to McKinley Station not that long ago because she too loves hunting. And it resonated so strongly with Territorians because they understood this family tradition and thing that you do on a weekend as a Territorian. That social media reaction, that photo of you and your daughter, Deputy Chief Minister, received over 2,000 reactions. Absolutely fantastic. It went out to the world. I mean, that's viral. That is a viral post. Absolutely fantastic. And of course, it's backed in by the fact that over 12 months ago, one of the first things we did when we came to government was expand Harrison Dam. And that's one of the very popular hunting places just down the highway. You know all about that, wouldn't you, Member for Goyder? So New York Times, that recognition, it just doesn't happen by accident. That is because of hard work of our government to make sure that we can put the Territory on the map. We are so very proud of that, and we continue that good work into 2026.
Member for Johnston, what is your question?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my question is for the Chief Minister. Chief Minister, sorry, one question. Chief Minister, you have reminded us about what our job here is in this chamber, to represent and work for all the people of the Northern Territory. So this question is for all the many, many people in my community who've contacted me saying that it's still not been answered. Chief Minister, does your government's process for recommending a person for appointment as administrator include reviewing publicly available material, including social media, before making a recommendation? Yes or no?
Chief Minister.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And again, those opposite want to spend their time talking about this instead of issues that really matter to the Territory.
Silence.
We have just evacuated 450 people out of Daly River whose homes might flood this weekend, Madam Speaker, but no, they don't want to ask about that. We've just created the very first Territory development area under the powers of the Territory Coordinator Act. I haven't received any questions about that, Madam Speaker. And so it goes on and on and on. For those of you who clearly listened to me when I was on radio, I was also on radio yesterday. And I said on radio yesterday that even if I had the chance to make that decision again, I would give him a chance to prove himself. And so on the 27th of February, His Honour, the Honourable David...
Chief Minister, Standing Order 30, we are not going to refer to the new administrator in any context.
Okay.
Please continue.
Well, then I've answered the question, Madam Speaker.
Member for Casuarina. We'll give you two in a row next.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Corporate and Digital Development. Minister, Christmas came early for the wonderful citizens of Katherine, with the Finocchiaro CLP government gifting a very special present, the old trains from the Territory Wildlife Park. While I only connected digitally to the unveiling of the trains through the member for Katherine, it did not lessen the feeling of pride I experienced, knowing our government is once again delivering for our remote towns. Minister, can you please update the House on this charitable act, what this signifies for the people of the Northern Territory?
Minister for Lands, Planning and Environment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we all know in this chamber what a beautiful town Alice Springs is. And closely following behind Alice Springs is the town of Katherine, Madam Speaker. It is a beautiful town and a must-see destination with Nipmuc Gorge, Katherine Hot Springs and Cutta Caves right on its doorstep. I can tell we have lots of proud representatives in this chamber here today, Madam Speaker. Katherine is also home now to the much-loved iconic trains that have operated the Territory Wildlife Park since it first opened in 1989, Madam Speaker. More than 35 years and hundreds of thousands of people hopping off and on the 4-kilometre loop around the Territory's one of outstanding wildlife parks. From one renowned location to another, these people movers are an amazing part of the Territory's history. It was the CLP government who opened the Territory Wildlife Park, and I am proud to be standing here as a minister under the current CLP government that is responsible for gifting this piece of history to the regional town of Katherine. Christmas, Madam Speaker, is a time when the Territory really shines. And if there's one place that knows how to celebrate Christmas, it is Katherine. So it's only fitting that these trains were gifted to Katherine through the Community Projects Association so they could enjoy the K-Town Express Christmas Light Tour. The trains got straight to work, Madam Speaker, and right into the spirit of Christmas. They were decorated in bright lights and they brought joy to many families as they made their way through Katherine. There was one house that stood out amongst all the others, Madam Speaker, that had some 80,000 lights, and by all accounts it truly did shine. An incredible effort which took 3 weeks to complete and 1 week to take down. The People Movers were so popular that on the 13th, 20th and 24th of December, several hundred people climbed aboard each night. And Madam Speaker, you could not keep the smiles off people's faces. My good friend and fellow minister, the member for Katherine, donated some 300 icy poles each night and ended up having to cut them in half to keep up with popular demand. There were even interstate visitors from Sydney and Brisbane who were thrilled to join festivities, stating they did not have anything like this in their hometown. So, Madam Speaker, I think we can all agree the heat has been turned up here today in the chamber, but it's wonderful to remember, Madam Speaker, that right across the territory our government is getting on, ensuring that we are delivering for Territorians. And whilst these trains might seem insignificant to some, they have brought joy to the people of Katherine. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Member for Daly, what is your question?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am absolutely shocked that it's been only 18 months ago that this CLP government came in here on accountability and transparency, yet they fail to come in here and answer questions that the public deserve. We have just asked many, many questions about this appointment and you continue to shut us down. You continue to come in here and take Territorians for fools, and you continue. What is the point of even being here?
Take your seat, Member for Daly. It is me who decides what is asked and what isn't asked. You can leave the chamber now. Oh. Okay. Next question. Are there any more questions? Member for Karama, what is your question?
Nightcliffe just called the member for Drysdale racist and bigoted.
Okay, let's...
No.
Member for
He called the
Karama,
member for
take
Drysdale.
your seat. Okay, we're going to have just a few seconds silence. We're just going to have a few minutes silence here. Are there any more questions? Member for Karama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Trade, Business and Asian Relations, responsible for Asian relations. Minister, the Northern Territory is widely recognised as spectacular, unique and world-class, and Territorians take pride in a lifestyle built on strong communities, local character and opportunity. That lifestyle is created and sustained by the small businesses operating across our towns and regions. And as a former Deputy CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, I remain totally a strong champion for our local business sector. Minister, small businesses make up 96% of all Territory businesses and are woven into everyday life, from cafes and tourism operators to tradies, retailers and family enterprises. They create local jobs, support essential services and strengthen community connections that define Territory living. Minister, can you update the Assembly on how small business and the Territory lifestyle go hand in hand and how this government is backing them?
Minister for Trade, Business and Asian Relations.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I have to say it's incredibly disappointing that those on the other side aren't here to hear what an amazing job is happening with our small businesses in the community and the passion with which the member for Karama fights for his small businesses and his experience in the past is no small tribute to the work that's being done by our government.
Minister, could you just pause there? We will not refer to who is in or who isn't in the chamber at the moment, but please continue.
Okay. I think, look, the Territory has a lifestyle that is second to none. And it's one of our greatest strengths. It's defined by close-knit communities, local character and a freedom that comes with living and working in a place like no other. And I think every person who has been to the Territory knows just how special this place is. And small businesses, Madam Speaker, make up 96% 96% of all Territory businesses. So they are the very heart and soul and backbone of who we are. They are the cafes and the corner stores and the tradies and the retailers and the tourism operators, family enterprises that Territorians rely on every single day. They employ locals, they sponsor sporting teams, they train apprentices, and most importantly, Madam Speaker, they keep the money circulating in our community. And that's why backing small business is a priority for the Finocchiaro CLP government. We understand that when small business is strong, communities are stronger, and the Territory lifestyle is protected. So our focus is absolutely on creating the right conditions for small business to succeed. And that means reducing red tape, improving regulatory certainty, and making it easier to start, run and grow a business in the Territory. It also means, Madam Speaker, listening to small business owners and working with them to address the real challenges they face. And in our year of growth, certainty and security, we are seeing the results of that approach. Small businesses are expanding, investing and creating jobs across both urban centres and, most critically, Madam Speaker, our regional communities. And this growth supports population stability, it keeps our services local and helps families build a future in the Territory. And, Madam Speaker, it's one of the reasons why procurement reform done late last year said we must focus on our local business and we must ensure that they are supported in every possible space. So from our regional towns to our suburbs, small businesses are shaping places people want to live, work and visit. They underpin our tourism offering, support local supply chains and continue to contribute to our vibrant main streets, strong regional economies. The message from this government, Madam Speaker, is clear. We value small business, we understand their role in sustaining the Territory and lifestyle, and we are 100% committed, actually 200% committed to backing them so that they can continue to deliver on opportunities, jobs and strong communities in the Territory. This commitment ensures the Territory's lifestyle continues to grow, thrive and remain accessible for current and future Territorians, and it will encourage many more people to come and join us in this beautiful space we call home.
Member for Wanguri, what is your question?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is for the Minister for Veterans Affairs. Minister, in 2 weeks' time, we'll be commemorating the bombing of Darwin, the largest and most devastating wartime attack on Australian soil. As the Minister for Veterans, can you please update the House as to how this significant event will commemorate on its anniversary of the 19th of February? And can you also update us on how, through events such as these, this government is ensuring that veterans in the Northern Territory are being recognised, acknowledged and supported?
Minister for Veterans.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank Member for Wanguri for this important question. And know she, along with Member for Drysdale, take a keen interest in veterans affairs. As we all know, Member for Wanguri's dad was on a ship that was torpedoed by Japanese Navy back in the World War II as well. I can tell you, Madam Speaker, and all members in this House, that our veterans, serving and ex-serving members in the Northern Territory are truly valued and appreciated. Madam Speaker, the bombing of Darwin on 19th February 1942 was utterly transformative and shattered the belief that Australia was untouchable. We know the bombing of Darwin left deep impacts on the Territory and still shapes Darwin's identity and military presence today. As Minister for Veterans, it will be an honour to attend the City of Darwin's commemoration of the bombing of Darwin and the reenactment, which includes the 8-12 regiments firing of the anti-aircraft guns. Madam Speaker, following the commemoration service, the Chief Minister, the Honourable Leo Finocchiaro, will host a reception here at Parliament House to welcome defence personnel, veterans, community members, survivors and family members. It is just one way that this CLP government can demonstrate its respect for those that have previously served and those that continue to save and defend our country. Indeed, Madam Speaker, the next generation of defence community will also be the focal point this weekend when the annual Welcome to the Top End event is being hosted by defence members and family support. This fantastic event welcomes Australian Defence Force personnel to our beautiful Northern Territory, a place where our great lifestyle is being restored, Madam Speaker. My department's Veterans Engagement and Support team will join many stakeholders at the Convention Centre. Our team will speak directly with members of the veteran community, providing useful information and promoting activities and initiatives funded under Operation Thrive. This is an opportunity for people to connect to the community, discover support and advocacy services, network, and understand the lay of the land. Madam Speaker, opportunities for the community building and social connection are the foundation of supporting our veteran community and restoring our lifestyle. Madam Speaker, we are delivering for our veterans. We acknowledge them. We are committed to ensuring the Northern Territory is a place for our veterans and service members to live, work and transition. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
What's your point of order?
Madam Speaker.
Member for Drysdale.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Now that it's rather calm in here, I'd like to draw your attention to Standing Order 50 for the member for Nightcliff, who couldn't handle the situation, has abandoned her chair, stood over and pointed saying racist and bigot towards myself. I would ask you to rule on Standing Order 50.
Member for Drysdale, after question time I will be reflecting on what happened in the chamber and I will consider what you have asked and I'll come back with a response.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
At a later point this evening. Are there any more questions? Member for Fanny Bay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First, I'd just like to quickly acknowledge in the gallery tonight we've got my electorate officer Luke and my daughter Ella. Thank you for coming today. My question is for the Minister for Essential Services. Minister, we know that the CLP is committed to helping Territorians lower the cost of living. This government doubled the solar feed-in tariff in peak times, lowering Territorians' energy bills. We doubled the battery bonus to $12,000 so Territorians can store the energy their solar panels produce, and I know that many members of the Fanny Bay electorate have taken up that bonus. We gave Territorians free licences for a year and froze car registration fees. We helped Territorians save time spent at the MVR by providing the ability to renew trailer licences for 3 years. Trailer registration. We also have the most generous home builder program in the country. Can you please highlight how the CLP government is continuing to help reduce the cost of living for Territorians by helping them, like residents in the Fanny Bay electorate, reduce their water bills?
Minister, could you just pause a minute? I'd just like to welcome in the gallery this afternoon the presence of the Australian Defence Force members on deployment in Darwin as part of Operation Resolute. Welcome to Parliament House. It's lovely to see you here. Minister for Essential Services, you've got the call.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I thank the member for Fanny Bay for this very important question. Madam Speaker, the CLP is indeed delivering practical cost of living relief for Territorians by expanding Parent Water's Living Water Smart program across the Northern Territory. Parent Water's Living Smart initiative was established in 2014 to help households and businesses reduce water use through practical education, water-wise tools and simple actions to cut waste and reduce leaks. Originally delivered only in Darwin and Alice Springs, the program has now been expanded for regional communities with advice tailored to the Territory landscapes, climates and water demand now available on the Living Water Smart website. The expansion will help Territorians take control of their water use, lowering bills while protecting the Territory's water supply. Living Water Smart can now help Territorians save water whether you're in Tennant Creek, on the Tiwi Islands or in the heart of Central Australia or in Katherine. Lower water usage means lower water bills for Territorians wherever you live, and it also strengthens security for our future water supply. Water is an important part of the Territory lifestyle. Territorians love to swim in the backyard pools, spend time in outdoors in backyards and gardens, so learning to conserve water and reduce leaks is extremely vital. The Living Water Smart program has been revamped with new location-specific information, including a personalised water-saving calculator that provides simple tips to help Territorians save water and money. Madam Speaker, Territorians can also access a Water Smart plant finder to help keep gardens healthy year-round, along with a new irrigation guide and practical advice on how to be water-wise while still enjoying the outdoors. Madam Speaker, as part of the expansion, the WaterSmart program has installed data loggers to support leak detection in major and regional centres, with power and water teams completing consultations and providing education with businesses across the Territory. Madam Speaker, we are continuing to look at ways we can help Territorians to save money and protect our Territory lifestyle. Thank you.
Are there any more questions? Member for Casuarina.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Chief Minister. Chief Minister, if the opposition and their local member for Delhi won't ask, I will. Chief Minister, 450 people have been evacuated from the Delhi region in preparation for expected flooding. Can the Chief Minister please update the House on how the evacuation has progressed and the role of our emergency services have played in ensuring the safety of Territorians?
Chief Minister.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Member for Casuarina, for asking this really important question. Of course, we have for a number of days been watching with the significant rainfall that the top end has experienced, the flooding and ongoing impact of all of that rain. Now, the Emergency Operations Centre was stood up to do all of the planning, and yesterday the Bureau of Meteorology moved that flood warning to moderate, which means we kicked into action. I gave an update in Parliament yesterday during question time, expressing that we were very hopeful to get people partly evacuated yesterday afternoon, with the remainder today. But I'm very, very pleased to have this opportunity to give an update, because we were so prepared. We were able to mobilise all of the buses and evacuated the entire community yesterday, which is a really good result because the water level has in fact risen. And part of the reason why that preparedness is so important is because, particularly in Daly River, each end of the runway becomes engulfed by water, then limiting your transportation options if you leave the river levels too high, and of course the road floods, Madam Speaker. And the last thing we ever want to be doing is in the desperate situation of helicoptering people off roofs. We can absolutely do it if we have to, but that's not the best case scenario. So the EOC has been fantastic, and I acknowledge the defence personnel in the gallery today. Thank you for your service, and embedded in our EOC is defence, to make sure that if we need them, you know, we've got them by our side. But I'm very pleased to say that we had about 215 people on the buses yesterday afternoon. I went and visited Foskey Pavilion, which was stood up in a matter of hours. It was an incredible result. We had children and families taking the lead, but I met with and thanked all of the staff. A number of people from other agencies had put their hand up. I met a lady who worked in education. There were dozens of prisoners there who had been working all afternoon unloading the shipping containers with all of the beds and all of the blankets. I can assure Territorians that everyone is being well looked after. There is baby supplies, there were cots set up, and as I was there, Madam Speaker, yesterday or last night, Red Cross had come in, and so all of the other NGOs and all of the other providers and supporters are there delivering support on the ground. So many people chose to relocate or self-evacuate as well, and we had 38 people who are medically vulnerable that we were also properly supporting and caring for in different situations. We're setting up pop-up schools, but we're even looking after the pets, Madam Speaker. There's been somewhere set up at 5 Mile out of the flood zone to look after all of the animals. So it's been an incredible result. I just want to thank the emergency services and police teams working around the clock. Everyone's done an excellent job.
Member for Drysdale, what is your question?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Lands, Planning and Environment. Minister, Alice Springs has received strong support from our government since the CLP came in the 2024 Northern Territory general election. From free entry at the Alice Springs Aquatic and Leisure Centre during the 2025 summer school holidays to a new Telstra tower providing better connectivity for Alice Springs citizens. I think we can all agree that your hometown has flourished from your advocacy under the Finocchiaro CLP government. Minister, can you please update the House on your involvement with the Telstra Tower and how you were able to deliver this important piece of infrastructure for Alice Springs?
Minister for Lands, Planning and Environment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the member for Drysdale for the question. I do love Alice Springs, Madam Speaker, and I am deeply invested in its success, which is why it was wonderful to be able to fix an issue that had been raised for quite some time. In October 2025, the Alice Springs Golf Club wrote to the Department of Lands, Planning and Environment requesting to vary their special purpose lease 562. They requested consent to sublease an area to Ampitel, who are part of the Telstra group of companies. The purpose for this sublease was for the installation and operation of a telecommunications tower, something we all take for granted here. We just turn our phone on and we can call anyone. But that's not always the case in some areas of Alice Springs. In accordance with sections 1743 and 51 of the Interpretation Act 1979, the power to amend the special purpose lease sits with me as the Minister for Lands, Planning and Environment. And after conducting a thorough review, I agreed to their request. Madam Speaker, prior to the amendment, the special purpose lease 562 for the golf course, associated building and ancillary purposes, I amended the sublease to add and for the installation of a telecommunication tower for the purposes of provide telecommunication services to Alice Springs to ensure this tower could go ahead. Quite technical, Madam Speaker, but I'm certainly glad it could all happen. I recently visited the Alice Springs Golf Club and met with manager Justin. We had a chat about this new tower and what it would mean for the Alice Springs Golf Club and the areas surrounding. He told me that one of the club's biggest challenges was the services dropping out while on the phone. This tower will change that. The Northern Territory Government has a long history of working with Telstra on numerous projects to improve connectivity right across the Territory, and I'm incredibly proud to have been able to enable the delivery of another significant project under the Lands Planning Environment portfolio. Madam Speaker, it's because of this government, the hard work that we did to sort the complexities of this matter, that Alice Springs now benefits from a new telecommunications tower, and it will not just impact those on the golf course, Madam Speaker. I've been speaking to Mr Nick Danks from Telstra, and by having this new Telstra in town, the towers on the gap will actually be able to turn and help some of the people in my good friend, the member for Namatjira, in the rural area as well. So boosting telecommunications right across Alice Springs, Madam Speaker. To recap, Madam Speaker, the department received the letter, we got on, we delivered for Alice Springs, and I think whilst the member for Barkly is looking at me, wondering when his next tower will be delivered in the Barkly, I want to add and update the chamber that the King Ash Bay is the next on the list, Madam Speaker, to receive a tower, and I look forward to heading out there with the member for Barkly to commission it, hopefully sometime later this year. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Member for Blaine, what is your question?
Getting on with the job. Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Chief Minister. Chief Minister, on Monday, you outlined your plan for the Territory Government's second year, a year focused on growth, certainty and security, building on the strong foundations from our first year. People in my community are already seeing safer streets, more job opportunities and renewed confidence in living and investing in the Northern Territory. How will our government keep delivering these results in year two so Territorians can continue to see and feel the progress toward a safer, stronger and more livable Northern Territory? Thank you.
Chief Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Member for Blaine. We have had a very big week launching the year ahead, and I know your community were really looking forward to you reporting back to them on what that will look like on the ground. And I think it's safe to say they're going to be very, very happy when you tell them that reducing crime will continue to be our #1 priority in 2026, building on the work that we did to reduce crime last year with that near 10% reduction in the number of victims, stronger powers for police and all of the work we did to address the root causes of crime, which all continues in earnest in 2026. Madam Speaker, it was really important and has been important for us over the last 2 years to make sure that we bring the community with us on this journey. The Territory we inherited was in a crime crisis, an economic crisis, an identity crisis, and people were leaving in droves. It was almost every day where you knew someone who was talking about leaving. Long-term generational families had given up on the place. People were demoralised and they didn't think things could be any better. And so last year, our year of action, certainty and security was really important. It was a pivotal moment for the Territory. It was our opportunity to say to every single Territorian, this place can and will be better. And we will show you that in just 12 months, we can make it better. And I am so proud on behalf of the entire team and the government that we did deliver that for every community across the Territory, Madam Speaker, every single one. And so while crime is going down and the economy is going up, we know that what we are doing is working, and we must work harder than ever before to continue to drive that change for the better that Territorians so desperately wanted when Labor had completely abandoned them. And so this year, some really exciting things coming forward. We've got Youth Justice Act Tranche 2 happening, our police public safety officers, which will amalgamate some of the police auxiliary functions, the public housing safety officer functions, the transit safety officer functions. They will start the first recruit course in this month. So it's very exciting. And they're, of course, focused on the front line. You will see them in police uniform, out at public housing, on public transport, in public places. It's going to be a significant reform on antisocial behaviour, Madam Speaker. And so we are also really excited about the first Territory development area under the Territory Coordinator legislation. This is bringing together the Northern Marine Complex, a significant piece of infrastructure that we need to develop right to make sure it is ready for market and really grow our maritime industry to be what it deserves to be. We are perfectly located for success, Madam Speaker. And so 2026 will be a big year, and I thank your community for their support. We are staying the course in 26.
Member for Karama, what is your question?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Treasurer, and I relish the opportunity of hearing your answer with no interjections. Treasurer, after years of economic mismanagement that left the Territory going backwards, the CLP committed to Territorians to rebuild the Territory's economy. Through targeted reforms, partnership with industry and a clear focus on reducing the cost of doing business, the CLP has laid strong foundations for long-term growth. A key part of that plan was modernising the Territory's payroll tax system and lifting the tax-free threshold to support business confidence, investment and jobs. Can the Treasurer update the House on how these payroll tax reforms are continuing to deliver for Territorians now and into the future?
Treasurer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the member for Karama for the question, because I know the links that the member Karama has and had with local business with his role with the Chamber of Commerce. And Madam Speaker, Territorians know that economic strength means job security, better services and opportunity for Territory families. Territorians were sick of the 8 years under the previous Labor government where businesses were run into the ground with their anti-business policies. Madam Speaker, we had to act, and we had to act fast. And we answered the call from Territorians to be responsible economic managers that actually supported businesses and drove their growth. And that's why we introduced the highest payroll tax-free threshold in Australia, Madam Speaker. And I'll let the payroll numbers actually do the talking, Madam Speaker, on just how successful this piece of reform has been for Territory business. And let's start with registered businesses in the NT. That's growing, Madam Speaker, because we're growing the economy. We've seen an increase in 107 payroll tax registered employers with wages below $1.5 million. That's 107 new businesses, Madam Speaker. These small mum and dad businesses are being established because of new economic demand and a tax system that is actually incentivising growth, not stopping it. And we know that small businesses are the true canary in the economic coal mine, Madam Speaker. And in further good news, since we've increased the tax-free threshold from $1.5 million to $2.5 million from 1 July 25, we've seen more than 200 businesses see their bottom line improved by an average of $22,000, enabling those businesses to reinvest in their own growth and the growth of the Territory. There's 100 businesses collectively saving nearly $1 million in payroll tax savings by employing apprentices and trainees who are going to drive our investment future. But here's the kicker, Madam Speaker. Even with these exemptions, we're seeing a big increase, yes, an increase in payroll tax revenue driven by economic growth. So we cut the tax, business is growing, we're actually receiving more revenue into the Territory coffers. This means that wages for employees are increasing and the number of employees that small business is employing is growing as well. Madam Speaker, in December 25, payroll tax collections grew by 24 million, exceeding the year-to-date forecast growth by 14%, led by growth in wages, jobs in the mining, real estate, transport and healthcare sector. So, Madam Speaker, what we're doing proves that the economy is growing. We're being responsible fiscal managers and we're driving the Territory economy forward and we'll continue to see it grow into the future.
Your time has expired. Member for Wanguri, what is your question?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is for the Minister for Agriculture and Fisheries. Minister, we know that Territorians love their fishing. In fact, NT Recreational Fishing contributed $270 million to the Territory's economy in 2019 and supported 2,500 full-time jobs, making it a key industry for the Territory. The former failed Labor government have ignored red flags about sustainability and our reef fish stocks, which seem to be vulnerable species in the Darwin Harbour, declined to unsustainable levels. We are now in a state where we need urgent action to manage the sustainability of the reef fish in the greater Darwin region or face a Territory fish stock for future generations. Minister, can you tell the House what your department is doing to regenerate those vulnerable species?
Minister for Agriculture and Fisheries.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the member for the question because I know that she was educated at Tamimman High School, Madam Speaker, and she knows how important fishing is to the lifestyle in the Northern Territory, Madam Speaker. Look, over the last 12 months, Madam Speaker, our government has taken real action to build and deliver a more sustainable future for Territory fishers, and which is part of our Territory lifestyle and part of our community value, Madam Speaker, in the Northern Territory. We've moved beyond talk, Madam Speaker. We've actually focused on delivery. Growing recreational fishing and protecting a lifestyle, Madam Speaker, is the #1 priority in this CLP government, Madam Speaker. We're dealing with crime and we accept there's a lot more work to do and we'll continue to work hard, but lifestyle, Madam Speaker, is one of our 3 key pillars and we will work hard to make sure that we restore our Territory lifestyle. Our golden snapper stocks have dropped to less than 20% of the original population, Madam Speaker, and Fisheries is now developing a robust plan which includes the development of artificial reefs, stocking snapper throughout the Darwin Harbour region, fish attracting devices and an educational program, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, I'd like to take this opportunity to stop and have a big shout out to the people who work in fisheries, Madam Speaker. The people out there on the ground doing the hard yard, working every day in, day out in something that they also believe is important to the Territory, Madam Speaker. I've been out there, I've met with them. Their passion is certainly undeniable, and thank you for the work you're doing, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we've got more than 60 broodstock golden snapper which is sitting out at DAC, Madam Speaker, and I've been out to have a look at the little buggers, and they are swimming around having a good time, Madam Speaker. And we will use those broodstock to be able to continue work on our stocking program, Madam Speaker, into the harbour. The department now, Madam Speaker, is currently working on a recovery plan, which our stocking is part of that program. We've gone out into the sector, Madam Speaker, and we've spoken with the industry, and we're working with those industry to come back on this plan, which is in draft format at the moment, Madam Speaker. The department have gone out and done the hard yards, and the brood stocking is planned to continue to happen over till 2029, Madam Speaker, because it's going to be part of that lifestyle that we all love and enjoy, Madam Speaker, here. Madam Speaker, we also can't forget the barramundi industry. We know that we have barramundi is iconic fish, and Humpty Doo Barra, they do a great job out there, Madam Speaker. They are very innovative and they work hard to make sure that that farm out there is growing great guns. And again, a big shout out to the rural area, because we know how important fishing to our lifestyle, we know how important it is to our economic drivers of growing the Territory businesses, employing people here and having jobs for the Northern Territory, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that any further questions be placed on the written question paper.
Honourable members, I've had time to reflect on a point of order raised by the member for Drysdale. it has been supported by another member that the member for Nightcliff did call him a racist and a bigot. So I am asking that the member for Nightcliff withdraw those comments before the commencement of adjournment speeches tonight. Thank you. And I will elaborate on that further. Other things that happen, but just on that point of order. The clerk.
Government Business Order of the Day number 4, standing in the name of Mrs Finocchiaro, ministerial statement from the Chief Minister on the year ahead 2026. Resumption of debate on the question, the statement be noted.
Deputy Chief Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And from my memory, I've got just over 4 minutes left to continue to talk about this very important year ahead, Madam Speaker.